My name is Erin. 5 minutes seems like a long time, but when I was thinking it over, I thought, this is really going to go fast. How can I put this together? And I thought about, this painting is called Taos, and Taos is an area in northern New Mexico that 20 years ago was the first time I ever went there. I was there for a plein air painting course with my university for 6 weeks. And I'm mostly an abstract painter, and even at that time I was. And I was having a 19-year-old artist existential crisis moment as a painter, thinking, here I am in this lush landscape, and I'm one of a few of the artists that really feels like an abstract painter. What am I going to do for 6 weeks? And I was really, and I think about it, even at that moment, I could still remember thinking, wow, this is such a good problem to have. Even then, I was laughing at myself, but now even more so yesterday, I was thinking, wow, what a problem I had. And before the course began, I had one day, and this is before Google, this is before the internet, 97. There was this studio barn, and inside there were some books, and I thought, maybe there'll be a book in here that will help me. And I saw a Wolf Kahn abstract landscape book, and I thought, oh, I can do this. This is going to be okay. But still, I still had to wake up the next morning, get my paints together, and go out into this really lush landscape. And it wasn't until I was there for 2 hours, just looking at the landscape, that I knew it was going to be okay. Because I could start to see the purple in the mountains. Inside the sagebrush, I could see the lilac. I could see the maroon on the mountains. And then I knew I was going to be okay. And I really was okay. And the reason I say that is now, 20 years later, I just made this painting, finished it last month. And this painting had many layers prior. But still, that time in Taos, which was 20 years ago, still influences my work. And it's probably had the most impact on how I paint today. A lot of my work has a lot of layers in it, but there's also a lot of, I would say, even though I'm an abstract painter, my work is really based on the places I've lived. And so spending time in the Southwest, living in New York City for many years, and then before moving to South Norwalk, I lived in Hawaii. So these places, these 3 locations, continue to, I'm still taking them in. When I was living in New York, what's really funny is living in New York is very gritty, and there's a lot that the textures in my work comes through. But then after living in New York, I was in Hawaii, which is completely opposite. And when I first moved there, I was doing a black and white series in this lush landscape of Hawaii, and a lot of the artists were painting lush Hawaiiana flowers and all of this, and here I am in the studio. I could open my door and see the water, and I'm sitting there still digesting New York City in Hawaii. So I often find the places that I'm living, I'm still in it so much that I almost have to remove myself from the location to fully sort of reflect and paint on that spot. And so this painting, I guess if I saw this painting 20 years ago, I would say to myself, wow, okay, I think I could do landscape painting, because I still remember, I was thinking about it yesterday, how concerned I was, because everyone in my group could really, and it's not that I can just, replicate bottles, I can replicate landscape, but to me, it was going to be an inauthentic experience, and I thought, I don't want to do this for 6 weeks. But it was probably the best sort of issue or thought as an artist I've had in my whole life. And still, even today, if I'm in the middle of working on a painting, and it's an abstract painting, and I'm not really liking it so much, sometimes I'll just pull out a little bit of a landscape in there and start building up the landscape, the layers, the path, the mountain, and then maybe I'll go back again and flip it over again and make it more abstract. So I definitely feel in 20 years I've become more comfortable as an artist with this sort of, you don't just have to be a landscape painter, you don't just have to be an abstract painter. But when you're 19, I'm an educator, I've been teaching art for the last 18 years. I do know how it feels because I've been in their situation where they think, I can't make that collage like this because if I do, it's going to ruin everything. And so I really enjoy the play that I get every day as well with my students. And it's really it helps my work a lot, even though it takes up a lot of my time. It really informs my work, and I don't think I would be able to have the shifts and changes in my work if I wasn't so busy doing other things. Yeah.
For Erin, please.
How do you know when you're finished?
Good question. That's always a good question. I think, actually, lately I've become better at when I think I'm finished, I don't even let myself get there. I stop about 2 phases before I think I'm finished. Because just recently I came to a place where I felt like I was overdoing my work. And this was just maybe 8 months ago. I would just layer it and layer it and layer it and then change it and move it around. And then I went too far. So now, to answer it in my current present thought, as of, actually this painting was, when Dennis came to my studio, this was in the side where it was like, I'm not really sure I'm done with it, actually. That was exactly, we had this conversation, and she's like, well, I think you might be done with it. And I thought, I said, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think that because I photograph a lot of my stages of my work, I usually like the stages 2 stages before I'm done with it. So I would say now I'm done with it probably 2 stages. I stop myself, basically. Yeah, and then there are some paintings. The longest painting I ever worked on and off was 13 years. I did. It's a big red painting, which is really funny because you would think if you're going to have this 13-year painting, it's probably filled with it is layered and there are more colors than red, but to spend that much time. But sometimes I have to just put it away for quite a while, or it's done, but then 2 years pass, it's not sold, it's still in my studio, I feel a different thought, and I go back into it. So I don't, but I'm okay with that. That's something I'm always okay with, is definitely ruining it. I actually sometimes enjoy it, like just going back in and just saying, who cares? You know, this is probably at some point going to be better, you know, so, yeah. Yes.
What's South Norwalk going to look like in your work?
Actually, it's just started coming through, you know, and I think that I do spend a lot of time in the summer. Well, I live just on Washington Street, so I'm definitely I've been here now for 5 years, so in the short time I've been here, I've seen a transformation happen. Just on that block alone, I literally live next to a new building, so I heard the clinking for 3 years, and I saw just the transformation. I saw the Norwalk Electric company be that sort of brick facade on the corner that's now Ironworks. I saw that whole transformation, so I feel like there's a lot of what I've actually always enjoyed in my life in this town, which is really where urban meets nature, and that's truly what, if I had to describe in one sentence, that's what my work is about. So it's coming. It's coming. I think I'm also going to stay here for a while because I have moved around a lot. So I'm really happy to be here for a while. Yes.
I can't help but ask you about time.
Right.
I mean, I'm wondering whether with the layers, and you've talked about how different times come together.
Yeah.
Are you conscious? I mean, how does time play? And
Right,
I'm fascinated too by this sense of measurement as well. You've got that tape measure. I know
You mean this?
Yeah.
Yeah. That actually was a big part of what happened since I've been in South Norwalk is because I was living in New York, and then I was living in Hawaii. So all of these different parts of artwork, some were rolled up in storage. And if you've ever shipped a book to Hawaii, just one book, it's going to cost you double the amount of that book price. So I had to ship all of these paintings back and roll them up. But once I got here, I felt very free with a lot of this work, and I started cutting up a lot of things. So a lot of the work, like this particular thing, that came from another painting. But you're mentioning time. What do you mean by time?
Just whether you were conscious of it when you were constructing your paintings, whether you were aware of the different time.
The places
does it all
that I
just flow
tap
together,
into?
or are you aware of those
Yeah.
separate?
Right, like am I clearly saying this is going to be Taos, New Mexico, or this is going to be, I would say it's a little bit of both. And I think if I'm I did make a painting last year that was about Santa Fe, and I didn't know it was about Santa Fe until it came time to title it. And it actually was about the Southwest, but it came together at the end. And a lot of my paintings, that's how they work. They come together in the end, and then a lot of it is not conscious, but it's all a collective of these, I call them sense memories, just tapping into not just like the memory bank, but the experience of the place, whether it's smelling the plumera trees in Hawaii or looking at the sagebrush. These things are really inside of me, and on a daily basis it just depends on what I'm thinking about and how that plays into the work.
I have one more in regards to travel, because I can tell how much you travels. If you could just get a free ticket anywhere, is there anywhere you still want to go that you think would really influence your art?
That's a good question.
So we can book a ticket together?
Yeah. I think I still have a lot of time that I want to spend actually in New Mexico. I think that, it still holds I don't go there all the time, but I think that it still really has me. And, I know obviously Georgia O'Keeffe and Agnes Martin are two artists that I have admired and how they have been inspired by New Mexico in very different ways. And so I think even as a young artist, I was thinking about them too. But also as a young artist, I was feeling such a weight of, how am I going to do this? But I mean, nobody really was caring how I was going to do it. It was going to be okay anyway. But I would probably say I would want to spend a solid year uninterrupted there. That would really, I think, be where I'd go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.